I did not like being called computers.
But like all of the women who worked in the computer pool at NASA Langley, Christine Darden carried the title of human computer, reading, calculating, and plotting data. Her story is one of several untold stories captured in the Margot Shetterly book, Hidden Figures, now being played out on the big screen.
You're a computer at NASA. They let women handle that sort of...
Yes, it's an uphill battle.
Yes, they let women do some things at NASA, Mr. Johnson. And it's not because we wear skirts. It's because we wear glasses.
Christine came to NASA some 15 years after Katherine Johnson, who was played by Taraji P. Henson in the movie. But Christine is quick to point out that things really hadn't changed that much when she arrived in the late 1960s.
They assigned me to this computer office, and it was in re-entry physics. And the engineers would just come in with their equations, and they would say, I would like a computer program to solve this equation, and so I can get a plot or a diagram or something from it. And we always had to work hand cases to know if the numbers we were getting were right.
She shares one of her most memorable assignments.
One of the more interesting problems I had was a set of partial differential equations, which was to describe the airflow between a vacuum and a high pressure area when you remove the diaphragm from between the two of them. So I wrote a program that worked on that, and I finally got the program to run, and the answers were wrong. And I went back and I checked everything, and I checked. And the engineer came in, and I said, well, I have checked everything. I've got everything right here. I said, let me check where you derived the equation. So he brought his papers in, and I found a sign error in what he had done. And once we changed that sign in the code, the answers were right.
For Christine, who came to NASA with a master's degree in applied mathematics, solving equations without knowing how they were being applied was unsettling.
I really enjoyed knowing the full problem, and I really wanted to do my own projects. And so I started to ask about going back to school or being assigned to an engineering section, especially after I found out that white guys coming in with the same background that I had were put in engineering sections, and they worked on their own projects. While in the computer pool, for the most part, it was pretty dead end. You might get put down as second or third author on a report for doing the code itself, but you didn't get promoted.
So Christine Darden spoke up.
I went to a director who was like 2 or 3 levels up and said, I'd like to know why men with the same background I've had were put in engineering sections and the women are put in dead-end jobs. And he said nobody had ever complained about it before. I was put into an engineering section. I got a promotion based on that meeting, I think. And my first assignment was to develop this sonic boom minimization code from a technical report from a couple of professors at Cornell University.
But even going from data analyst to aerospace engineer, she found that some things remained the same.
If you answered the phone for the secretary, of course you were the secretary. Or if you were in a meeting, you were there to get them coffee. So there were mistakes made like that.
Now, decades later, after receiving more than a dozen awards for her work, Christine Darden reflects on her time at NASA and smiles as she watches the world learn the story of the human computers who helped NASA soar to new heights.
It's exciting because nobody really knew what we were doing at NASA, and that seems to have grabbed everybody's attention.
For Another View, I'm Lisa Godley.